Welcome to this edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joe Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri, and it is my pleasure every week to get to talk to some of our alumni in digital media productions, in communication studies, and our graduate program, find out where they are today, what they've been up to, how life's treating them, and how the program helped them get where they are. Today, I get the pleasure of visiting with Chelsey Busek. Chelsey earned a bachelor's degree in public relations here at the university, back when I taught some in public relations, and then she stuck around and got her master's degree from the program in communications. I always remember Chelsey as smiling all the time. She was always happy, always in a good mood, always upbeat. And here she is today, and she's still smiling. Chelsey, glad to have you with us. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Dr. Joe?
I am doing awesome. So excited to see you. It's been a long time.
I know, almost 10 years now. Ooh, all
You
good
don't
things,
look a
right?
day older than when you graduated from here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, what are you up to these days?
Oh man, what am I up to? I am living my best life. I cannot believe next week is almost the 4th of July.
Mhm.
We are 6 months into the year and time is just flying. So I'm taking it day by day, putting all I can into work, and then the rest goes to my family and friends. Walking my dog Maggie on the weekends. I'm engaged in a couple different volunteer boards that are super meaningful to me. So life is great. Things are going good.
And you're up in Kansas City, right?
Correct. Yep. So my husband and I, we've been in the Waldo area for about 4 years now.
Okay. You are the manager of development and alumni for the Agriculture Future of America. Tell us about the Agriculture Future of America, and then what exactly do you do? What is your job there?
Sure. So AFA for short. AFA is a nonprofit based in Kansas City. We've been around for almost 30 years now. And our mission is to build bridges for the next generation of agriculture food leaders. What that means is we create leader development experiences for college students who are curious about pursuing degrees within agriculture, food, or natural resources. And what those experiences are essentially conferences where we bring together students from around the nation to think about agriculture in different ways, build upon their leader development skills, and then connect them with industry so that we can really help cultivate those relationships for them so that they can continue those once they graduate college and move on and make a difference in our world. So that's what AFA does. My role within AFA is I help lead the alumni relations program. So because we've been around for about 30 years now, we have an alumni population of almost 10,000 across the United
Wow.
States. And it's super important, as any nonprofit will tell you, keeping those individuals engaged. And so I work hard to create different programs, volunteer opportunities, ways to essentially get those alumni back to AFA so that they can be engaged with students and make a difference on their own. So I've been in this role, well, I've been with AFA for about 7 years, and I've been in this role for about 2, and absolutely love what I do every day. I'm very lucky.
Okay, so from a college perspective, alumni means like you graduated, you finished your requirements, you walked across stage, got the diploma, and you're finished with college. What does an alumni from AFA mean? What does that mean?
Sure. So any college student that participates with us in their undergrad, that once they graduate and move on to graduate school or
Okay,
working in the industry or going back to the family farm, they're considered an alumni.
gotcha. Okay, so they
Yep.
they when they graduated college, they graduated AFA, and you're still getting them
Yep.
connected. I see. All right.
Yep.
You did a graduate assistantship when you were here in alumni and development, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what similarities are there between these two roles?
Man, I would say similarities here are really just finding ways to keep alumni engaged in the program. So, when I was a graduate assistant for the Alumni Foundation, my role primarily was around communication. So, I was a big piece of, I worked with Daleen Abner when
Mhm.
she was on staff. She was my supervisor at the time and a great mentor for me. She ran the UCM magazine then. It was housed under the Alumni Foundation. So I was able to gain experience being the assistant editor for that, a great publication to keep alumni engaged. I also worked with our director of alumni at the time, Chelsey Busek, to help think big and get creative on alumni events and getting them re-engaged with the program. And I also had a hand in our scholarship program for the Alumni Foundation at the time, where emphasis was, of course, giving scholarships to current UCM students, but a big piece of that is alumni giving. And so there was a lot of exploration around development, fundraising, individual giving in particular, which I've carried with me to my now role at AFA, which is another piece of what I do for alumni relations.
Okay. So when you were a student here, public relations was housed in communication. It's now over
Mhm.
in the business college. When I got my degree here in
Okay.
public relations, when it was in the communication department, a lot of it felt like journalism, but with a PR twist to it, so to
Mm,
speak. You
hmm
are always one of those students. I'm like, when I found out you were majoring in PR, I'm like, yeah, I can see that, because you always had that personality, that friendliness, that drive to engage with people, to meet with people and communicate with them. And you took that then to grad school and worked on your master's degree. How did that master's take you to that next level beyond what you had done as an undergraduate?
For sure. I would say it's funny, your interpretation, you thinking of me as a student as smiley and personable and relationship focused, and which I very much am. However, doing some reflection, when I was in my undergrad, before I considered grad school, I just didn't feel ready. I didn't feel ready to take on the industry just yet, and I needed a little bit more time to focus on myself as a leader, figure out what kind of leader does Chelsey want to be in, as a professional in the industry, whatever industry I choose. And that's really one of the biggest reasons I chose the graduate program. That, in addition to getting a graduate assistantship, which absolutely helped me out financially. Love that program and that opportunity for students. Um, but I think that was the biggest piece, tying it back to grad school. I think also something that was so meaningful for me in grad school that really set me up for success within my career was many of the classes within mass communications, which was my master's, very focused around presentation, facilitation of different communication theories and case studies. But there was so much discussion happening in the classroom, which I feel like I just didn't get a ton of as undergrad. Not a terrible thing, it's just a little bit more development. That was such a cool opportunity for me to think critically, really get my mind around big ideas, and challenges, and be able to vocalize my thoughts behind those, in a classroom setting where I felt safe. I felt like I was able to be vulnerable because the students that surrounded me were going through the same thing, right? We were all trying to figure it out. But then also the professors that helped lead the discussion did a great job in facilitating and challenging us, and just making it a really good experience. So I kind of went down a bunny trail. I hope I answered your question.
You did. And I
Okay.
think that's probably part of the reason why you and I always connected really well, because I did the same thing. When I got my master's, it wasn't because I couldn't find a job. It wasn't because at that time I planned on going for my PhD.
Right.
I didn't feel ready. I felt like I've learned the techniques, I learned the hard skills. I need to develop my leadership skills. I need to develop my presentation skills and my organizational communication type of skills. And I don't think people think about that that's why you do grad school. People will think, well, you get your master's because you're going to go on and get your PhD. No, you get your master's to help you become more of a leader in industry, right?
For sure. And I think also for me, an element of building your network, right? Going back to cultivating those relationships. By doing the graduate program, I was able to meet some really amazing mentors who had an impact on me 10 years ago, and I continue to engage with on a daily basis. In fact, one of my mentors in undergrad was Chelsey Busek, who was the director of alumni. We worked together and got to really build that relationship and that friendship through the graduate assistantship I had within the Alumni Foundation. And now we work together today, every day, and it's absolutely fantastic. So it's all about the connections.
Yeah, I'm a big Tracy Vi fan. She helped us get the
Who isn't?
I know, right? And she was instrumental in getting our advisory board put together, and that's
Love
been a
that.
great system for us. So what is next for Chelsey Busek?
Ooh, what is next? I always get tripped up by this question because it's usually in the form of where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? Um, what is next? I would say I'm a big fan of Kansas City. I know we have a lot of UCM alumni who are
Mhm.
still in that area. Um, I love our city. I love our community. I also think there's a great nonprofit space within Kansas City that I'm continuing to learn about every day and meet new and fun people who are making a difference. I think I'm gonna try to do something a little different in nonprofit in Kansas City potentially.
Yeah,
We'll see. We'll
outstanding.
see. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have two final questions for you. What advice would you give to somebody that is currently a UCM student? So anybody that's currently a UCM student, what advice would you have for them? And the second question is somebody who's thinking about college. What would you tell them to try and convince them that the University of Central Missouri and the communication and digital media production programs are the right fit for them?
Love those questions. So, to tackle the first question, a current student, advice I would give is with the 4 years, if you're doing your undergrad, try to build as many relationships with individuals as you can. That has been the number one thing that has really set me up for success in my professional career. And, some of those relationships might have been able to connect me with a new job or an internship or job shadowing, of course. But some of those relationships are just fun, right? Like I have
Hmm.
friends now that I am able to grab a coffee with and just connect professionally or personally and continue there. But for me, it's about that network, and the bigger you can grow your community in college, just the more set up for success you'll be as a professional or whatever you choose after college. And bonus answer, I don't know if you're going in this direction, but for somebody who maybe is thinking about the graduate program and just doesn't know, do some research, right? I think the biggest thing that really made me decide to do grad school was I had some conversations with the faculty and staff and trying to figure out my why and seeing if that matched with the graduate program. I think that's the best way. There's only so much you can read on a website or on a piece of paper, but the more you can talk to people who have actually been in that experience or who are facilitating the programs, it just makes it so much easier and it makes it more human, which we're all looking for more human connection. And then to answer your question as somebody who is thinking about college, I would say they should consider UCM because I think it's a great university to do some career exploration. When I started my career at UCM, the first 2 years, I thought I was going to be an elementary school teacher. My passion is for development and education, and I absolutely love the next generations who are coming up after us. And for me, that meant, oh, then you need to be a teacher. Um, After doing some job shadowing of third grade classrooms at Lone Jack, I realized that teaching is really meant for a way more uh, uh,
Crazy.
a wonderful person. Well, I'm trying to come up with the word. Just a fantastic individual, patient. That's what I was trying to come up with. A more patient individual than I was. And so I switched gears and I went into public relations instead halfway through, and I was still able to graduate within 4 years. I think I maybe had to take a couple summer classes, but I think career exploration is a big piece of why I love UCM because even if you think you're going into a certain degree, you can switch gears if your mind changes because often it will after being exposed or just getting a little bit more mature. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, my wife's a kindergarten teacher. I think there's got to be a
Yes.
little bit of crazy to them to do that sort of thing. So I'm
Good
so
kind of
glad.
crazy.
Good kind of crazy. Yeah. I'm so glad your path led you to PR. that our paths crossed, that we got to share some of your time together here, and that we got to visit again today. Chelsey, thank you so much. So proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep taking care of those nonprofits and loving life.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity.
And for all of those of you watching and listening, thank you for being here with us today. Remember, you can keep up with our show on our YouTube channel at the UCM Media Network. It's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen to the podcast on Spotify. We're thankful for you being here today. And just remember, this is Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here.